Welcome to Stronger Than Yesterday, the podcast where we focus on becoming just a little bit better every single day. Today's guest is someone who really embodies the spirit of Stronger Than Yesterday, the power of transformation through creativity. Vera Black. Now, Vera is an amazing songwriter, an amazing singer, and an incredible creative artist. She's built an amazing lifestyle brand in her own name. And she goes beyond this. And we've explored today the ability of how she changes the way that people perceive themselves in the world. Now, before she could do all of this, Vera had to actually change the way that she perceived herself. Now, we're diving into this journey today. We've explored what fuels her creativity, the impact that her work has on people, how she's built this amazing brand that really makes a difference, and also exploring how she collaborated with my father, which was actually what brought Vera and I together. So, if you're looking for inspiration, insight, fresh perspective, or just to spend some time with a really, really funny, talented, inspirational lady, then this one is for you. So, before we get started though, I want you to hear Vera's voice. Check this out.
Yeah, for sure. In your battle with your addictions, and you're acting like a fool. You're better off without it. You're better off without it.
Told you, incredibly talented singer, incredibly talented songwriter. And we're going to meet the lady herself. So, without further ado, Vera Black. How you doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you, Richard?
Yes, I'm good. You were nervous. Why are you nervous?
Oh, me? Oh, I'm just never good at talking to camera.
Were you talking to me?
Yes, that's true. I am. I'm talking to you. And you make me feel very at ease.
Good. Well, you know, I'm really pleased. I'm just really glad we finally managed to sort this out, get this done. Because the last attempt was coming to see you and had everything set, had the camera, had all the equipment, and we started drinking tequila in the afternoon.
We ended up having too much fun. That would have been a very different chat.
Yeah. None of it would have been usable.
Or maybe.
Oh, yeah. And just decipherable elements of streams of consciousness. So, right, are you ready? Should we get cracking?
Yep.
So, part of the reason I've always wanted to talk to you on camera is to capture what it is that made the Vera Black brand what it is, and that's essentially you. So, you know, it's a personal brand that's incredibly successful. You're hugely talented, and you've managed to create this amazing kind of world around you and your creations. So what is it? What started it off?
It started off with music, and both my husband Luke and I being musicians in Australia. we kind of got to our top of our game there. We were selling out venues and recorded albums, and we were winning awards. And when we were touring across America, I really wanted to have a look that was distinct to me as an artist. And so I started making things to wear, because I just couldn't find anything out there that was what I had in mind. I always had this kind of hippie pirate type of look, and definitely in like mainstream, there's just no kind of accessories or jewelry to create your look like that. You have to kind of I mean, you could probably find it a little bit more today, but back then there just wasn't anything out there. So I started I bought up a load of materials in California when we finished our tour, bought feathers and beads, and had no idea what I was going to do with it, but I just thought, you know, the designs always start with the materials and then see where it goes from there. And so when I got back to Sydney, I started to make feather hair accessories, and I always sort of look back on people that I really admired, like Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison, Stevie Nicks, and what made their looks very unique. And so I decided to make things, get up on stage wearing them. People were like, wow, that's so cool, I love that thing in your hair, or I love what you've done to this, and like, where did you get it from? And so then I started people were just saying like, oh, could you make something for me? And I was just doing it for free, just making them for friends. And then it got a little bit out of hand. I was like, I'm gonna start making money from this or something. This is ridiculous. I was just spending all my time in a workshop making things as gifts, which was good for the people that were receiving them. But and at the time I was working in a cafe to support my music habit, I should call it, my music career. And then I said to Luke, I had a horrible boss. He was just an asshole. And so I said to Luke, I said, look, my one dream is to just be my own boss. I don't want to take, I'm an Aries as well, so I don't like taking instructions from anybody or telling me what to do or how I should dress. And I just wanted to do something where I could just be myself, not wear a uniform, and not have to act a certain way. And I ended up telling Luke that I'm quitting my job. I'm going to go down to the Bondi markets and the Glebe markets in Australia. And I also imported these feather hair extensions that had not reached Australia yet. And I became like the feather girl at Bondi markets. And everybody just went nuts over them. And my first weekend there, I made more in one day than I would have made in like 6 weeks of working in a cafe. And then I had my little bits of jewelry on the side, and I was putting feathers, and I had cues, and I said to, and Luke just like turned up to see how I was going. I was like, I need your help. I was like, I think I found my calling. I could dress how I wanted to, and I felt like I was really terrible at selling. Like, I had lots of different selling jobs, and I think I even got fired from one because I just wasn't a very good seller, because I really need to believe in what I'm selling. Selling my stuff is easy because it's my own, and had my own little stamp on it, and I was proud of, you know, what I'd made and what I was selling to people. And and so probably to cut a long story short, I ended up coming over here, invited over to do music artist development with a guy called Mark Moreau. And at the time they were managing an artist called Jessie J. Probably heard of her. She's a little bit famous. They didn't want me to work. I moved over. We brought our dog over, and it was just going very slow. They weren't putting any money in for me to pay rent or anything. And it was that thing of like, you have to lie about your age. You're going to be 27 forever. We don't really want you to say that you're married. And I was just like, but this is why I wanted to be doing something where I'm myself. You know, I'm proud of the fact that I'm married and been, you know, now married for 22 years. and I'm proud of how old I am. So yeah, I just wanted to be able to just be myself, I suppose, and this allowed me to do that. And I ended up really stuck. Like, I was kind of pushed to a corner. Like, I have no money. We've just moved here to London, one of the most expensive cities in the world. And what am I going to do to make money? Luke's like really panicking. He's like, you got to go work in a bar. Worked at this local bar that opened up, and I was getting paid like $6.50 an hour. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. How am I supposed to survive on this amount of money? And I'm working my butt off. And I was just like, I think I need to take up my jewelry business here and just see how it goes. And, you know, it was changing to a different market. So I was going from like the beach in Bondi, where it was very bohemian, very summer. How's it going to go in London? I had no idea, because it was that very sort of boho summer vibe. And I think when I started, it was still pretty cold. It was like March or April. And so I went down to Portobello, set up my first little shop. And luckily for me, the guy there's just like, beautiful shop. You put a lot of effort into, I'm going to give you a great spot. And it was like right at the front. So people would come and see me right at the entrance. And I kept that spot. And he said, if you're here every single week, I will let you have this spot every week. I was like, this is a really good spot. So I just had consistency of being there, no matter whether it was snowing, whether it was raining, whether there was some big event on and there was going to be perhaps nobody there. People knew that I was always going to be there in that same spot, which also helped, you know, people when they came back. Maybe they didn't buy something that weekend, but the next week they thought they'd come back and see me. So that was a very big thing, was consistency of just always being there, always being in the same spot. And I was hand making everything. So, and at that time I was hand making everything myself. So from Monday to Friday, I was just like making, go to the market on the Saturday, and I'd literally sell out of stuff. You know, I think on a bad day, I'd take £800 in a day. And I was just like, thank God. And yeah, so I tried to keep going with the music, because the music was going okay, but there was a lot of things that just kept happening. Like, we had trouble with getting a bass player. We'd have one leave, then we'd get another one, and then they would leave. And it just kept having all these little setbacks. And I felt like naturally this is happening so easily. Maybe I should put all of my energy, because I feel like I'm only doing things, spreading my energy basically, and just not doing either of them 100%. So I felt like I had to make sort of an executive decision to go, okay, well, this is making me money. This is making me still creatively happy, because, you know, you take the music away and I'm not doing that anymore. I'd get into a depression and like, I'm not on stage and not sharing my creativity with people. But this was like an outlet for me to go, well, I'm still being creative. I'm sharing, you know, my creations with other people, and I'm making a lot more money. So that was a good indication to sort of, step back from the music. But I mean, even today, I still feel like I'm still in the music industry, because naturally, the kind of style I have, musicians and actors and creative people gravitate to what it is that I'm creating. So I end up doing styling for music videos, and you know, getting invited to some great shows by people, and styling music videos and shoots and things for other artists, which gives me a lot of gratification. But yeah, and then once we did Portobello, we started doing Brick Lane on another day. And at that time, Luke was doing brain injury support. And he was doing like waking nights. So he would work from 8 in the evening to 8 in the morning. Then I would go pick him up. We'd then go drive to Brick Lane. He'd help me set up my stall at Brick Lane, and then he would sleep under the table with the dog, and watch the MotoGP or something. And I'd just be serving people, and they're like, "Oh, where's your lovely husband?" I'm like, "Oh, he's under the table," and people would have a little peek under there, and he's under there with his pillow and his blanket. But yeah, that's when I think I decided, like, no, Luke, if we're going to do this, you're going to have to quit your job and you're going to have to help me. And we ended up, a lot of people at the time were saying like, oh, don't do Camden. Camden's terrible. So for a long time, we didn't do Camden. And I said, like, let's just give it a shot. And then, so I was doing Portobello, Luke would do Camden. And from the moment we did Camden, we were just absolutely killing it. It was like a license to print money, as Luke used to say. And he loved going there. It didn't matter if it was snowing and you'd have to wear snow boots and you were freezing your ass off, or the wind and the rain was coming in. He was just like happy to be there because he was making, really good money. But yeah, at Brick Lane, that was where I met your dad.
Are you tired of the algorithm-driven marketing madness? Do you want to break free and get real results? Then listen up, because I've got something for you. Richard, an award-winning coach, author, and entrepreneur, is on a mission to empower small business owners just like you. At imrcs.com, you'll find unique coaching methodologies and transformative programs are designed to help you achieve success and freedom. Here's what you're going to find: real people, real stories, and real solutions. It's time to crush those obstacles and take your business to the next level. Remember, it's not just about working hard. It's about working smart with the best tools and the best support. So don't wait. Head over to imrcs.com and start your journey to success today.
Yeah, that's one of the things, I suppose, how we met was actually through my dad, through him. Can't imagine what it was like working with him. But two creative people met and started creating the most amazing things. But we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. So you're in Camden. You've kind of flown across the world. There's a few things in what you just said, actually, which I found really, really interesting. So you talked about you started off as your own customer.
Yes.
Which is massively important, I think, in a lot of businesses, because if you won't buy the stuff that you're making and selling, why would anybody else? And that gives you a real insight. And I work with lots of businesses where it's just like, well, they're making things for other people, but they don't use them themselves. And you lose a lot of insight in that. So being your own customer is huge. That gave you the belief to actually sell. And in that, I can't believe that anybody would actually try and tell you what to do. I've not, in the time I've known you, why would anybody even bother trying to do that? That's just not going to work. Authenticity.
Well, I have Luke telling me what to do all the time.
How often does that work out?
Well, I've never had a fondness for pink or a lot of girly stuff. And he was just like, oh, there's people asking, we want you to make this in pink. I'm like, I wouldn't wear pink. I'm not doing pink. I said, I wouldn't make anything that I would wear myself. And he's like, but your audience is asking you for pink. I'm like, damn it, right, I'll make pink. And it'd be the same designs, but it'd be in that color. And, sure enough, they'd sell. So there is certain incidences where I would be like, okay, well, you got to give the customer what they want sometimes. It's not all about me.
No, that's one of the things. It isn't actually all about you. But, say being your own customer, it's definitely an element of it. And we'll come into that, because how, people, I think people are buying something from you. They're buying into the vibe, the idea, they're buying into the brand. And that's something that I've always admired about what you do, is your brand, your consistent design, your consistency of brand is fantastic. And that's really helped you because it's cohesive, it makes sense, and people really, really engage with it. So, and when did
you say that?
That's absolutely true. I mean, when did you kind of really connect with that essence, like, what Vera Black actually, you just had, so hang on, I'm going to go on brand for you.
All right.
There we go. Now I feel better. So yeah, I mean, it's an incredible brand. So when did it kind of really click for you?
Well, let me tell you about how the name Vera Black came about. That gives a little bit of an insight. So when I was an artist for many years, my middle name is actually Vera, and my brother introduced me to this guy called Peter Clifton, and he was a a music documentary guy. He shot the song "The Song Remains the Same," which was a Led Zeppelin documentary, which was very famous. And he, we used to go around to his house and he'd show me black and white footage of the Beatles, and I was like, "Is that you with John Lennon in the studio?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that was when they recorded." I was like, "Oh my god!" He was at like the Doors Miami gig and actually had footage of what really happened there. And so I was playing him my music, and he goes, "Oh, I really like your music." He goes, "But this doesn't work for you." He's like, "You need something strong. I don't know, like Vera Black." And he just said it, and I was just like, "Whoa!" So that is so powerful. And I was like, "Vera's actually my middle name." He's like, "No way." And I said, "It's actually my grandmother's name as well." And to me, it always was like, I used to lie about my middle name as a kid because it's just like, it's such an old lady name, or the name of like a prostitute in some romantic novel or something, although that wouldn't be very romantic. But but then he put Black on the end of it and made it so cool. And then visually, just looking at it, it wrote really nice, and you could choose like almost any font and it looked really nice, and it felt like such a strong name. Yeah. So I always thought that maybe I would use Vera Black for, like, I don't know, when I was doing guest vocals with a DJ or something, like some kind of other thing on the side that I was doing. But then I decided to just embrace it as my artist name as a musician, and then that kind of became the brand name. And I felt really empowered, like, because with my other name I didn't feel very confident. And it never really felt like my name. And then all of a sudden I had this really strong name, and I felt really proud to sort of like shake people's hand, tell them my name, tell them about what I do. I mean, even after winning awards and working as a professional musician, I found it embarrassing to tell people that was what I did, because sometimes people like roll their eyes and say, "Oh yeah, everyone's a musician." And so it allowed me to, it actually made me just feel really confident and say, and I felt like this is really who I am. And I think when it came to the fashion brand, it came from somewhere really authentic, because I had, busted my chops as a musician. I was doing a fashion brand that very much has that encompassing thing of if I walk down the street wearing the certain things, people are like, "Oh, you look like a musician," or "You look like a creative." So it was always very authentic. It's like, well, yeah, that's what I am. And so people just resonated to it, and they were just drawn to it, and just got a lot of pleasure out of sharing this look that is now not my own. It's one that can be shared with other people. Yeah.
It's brilliant. I think what you're kind of describing is an identity shift.
Yes, and definitely was.
Yeah, it's...
I actually stopped being nervous on stage, stopped being like so insecure about what it was that I was doing. I was able to sort of, I suppose, self-sell myself in a way, but that didn't come across as what would you say, like egotistical or something. It just felt really authentic.
It's it's a concept I'm fascinated by, the whole element of identity shifting. And it's like there's I always like look at Hulk and Banner as being the two, right? The things that Hulk is capable of, Banner is not, and the things that Banner is capable of, Hulk is not. But it's choosing who you want to become, and then being brave enough and bold enough to take that step into that personality, into that persona, adopting it, and eventually over time you become that person. So when you probably became Vera Black, by the way, I am going to edit this and remove all references to your former name, because no one needs to know who Vera Black used to be.
Okay.
I'm just going to be the names going, right? Because yeah, I mean, so when you stepped out and you became Vera Black, everything unlocked for you, I guess. The creativity became easy because that's who you were. Fantastic. It's amazing. So when...
Yeah, that other girl's dead now.
She's dead. Well, the truth is, I think to really actually shift identity, someone has to die. And that whole person, you've got to kill them, because they can't coexist in the same space. They can't coexist in the same body or in the same mind. Because if they do, what you end up with is imposter syndrome. You end up with people, that little voice in your head going, "You can't do this. You can't do that." And
Yeah.
that's that old psyche just still fighting for existence. So you got to kill them.
Well, even the music management, asked me to delete everything I'd done previously in my career,
Mm,
all my music videos, all my old music, and they said, "We're starting you from afresh."
fantastic. Yeah.
And that was really scary because it's like, God, I've been doing this for 15 years, and now I've moved to a whole new country. Nobody knows who I am, my name. I'm literally starting from my whole career from scratch again, and everything I've done so far doesn't exist anymore. And so that was really scary.
Mm.
I even wrote a song about it called "The Game." Like, nobody wants to know who. No, what is it? No one wants to even know your name when you're out of the game.
Ah, yeah. I guess because I think the same thing happened with Hendrix, though, didn't it? When he left the US, arrives in London, and he sort of, I think what he sort of described as a process of getting on the plane as one person, and he got off the plane as someone else, and just
Yeah.
adopted that persona, the wild
Well,
rap
he
rock.
created his whole new look at Portobello.
Right.
And so he would go down there where all the vintage shopping was. And so, I mean, a massive inspiration for me was just being on the gritty streets of London with graffiti everywhere, these
Yeah.
cool people walking through with, like, I don't know, just very out there. Like, there were no rules on like how to wear something or what you're wearing. And that was just like so inspiring. And that made me, like, want to make things different. It actually really inspired me to go into men's accessories as well,
Mm.
because you got to listen to your audience. At the time, I was just doing sort of like very summery, bohemian, very girly type things, I suppose. And guys would be like, "Oh, I really like what you do, but could you make it for a guy?" And I was just like, "Why am I not doing guy stuff?" And then so it ended up, I was making 50% more because I was now opening to a whole nother audience, which I hadn't thought to do prior. And Johnny Depp was very much my main inspiration because I just love the whole, dripping in jewelry and layering. And so I actually made a keychain that was inspired by him. And I kind of used that as, he was my muse.
Mm.
Eventually he wore it, which was amazing. Um, but yeah, that's a whole nother story. But that's actually how we got a lot of celebrities wearing our stuff as well. They were literally just walking down through Camden or Portobello, and they stumble across us, and people are desperate to find something that's different. And I definitely could have done that if I was getting something manufactured,
Yeah.
like, oh, something like this and something like that, and then get someone else to make it. It had to be. And then I even tried to take shortcuts sometimes with, it's like, oh, I could just, this would take me 5 minutes to make, and maybe I could sell like 50 of them. And people don't want that. They want the thing that takes you 3 hours to make.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's that London that you described doesn't really exist, I don't think, not anymore. Not that I've seen.
No,
Portobello,
well,
Camden.
I saw the decline of Portobello, which is why I moved on there. I mean, I was talking to a guy at like 7 o'clock in the morning when we were setting up. I was always there way before everyone else because my shop just took so long to set up. It was very, very intricate. And but that's why I got the good spot and did
Mm.
well, because I put so much effort into how it looked. But yeah, I was talking to a guy there, and just while I was talking to him, guy just pushed past him. And he was just like, what are you doing, mate? Turns around, guy throws a bat and just starts beating the crap out of him right in front of me at 7 o'clock in the morning. And there was just this vibe shift there where people were just nasty and like fights going on everywhere. And then one woman actually turned her anger to me. She's like, "You're selling hats." This is before I even sold hats. And she just, you get a lot of people working at the markets that do have mental issues because they can't work for another, can't hold down a job. So they
Mm.
often end up working for themselves. But I was just like, I think this is my time to go. So I don't even need to be here anymore. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And then that's why we ended up opening our first shop in Camden.
Mm. Because Luke was working in Camden at the same time you were doing Portobello, right?
Yeah, so I was doing that and Brick Lane, and he was doing Camden there Saturday and Sunday.
Mm.
And yeah, then we when I stopped doing both of those, we opened up the shop, And then we were just doing Camden because we're just doing so well there. But he just had like the little stall set up, so you'd have to set it up each day and then take it down each day. We used to sit there dreaming, going, wouldn't it be great to just open a door and not have to set it up each day? So that's what we ended up doing. We ended up getting a little shop in there and having it all set up where Luke could just go in and open the doors. But that was a 7-day-week shop, so that was a lot of work. The rent was very expensive. I mean, just to cover costs with the staff I had that were working in the workshop with me and people working there, because Luke would work there, I think, 5 days a week, and then we'd have other staff that would come in and work on the weekend. So we were pretty much working still 7 days a week most of the time, but we'd have to make like 10 grand just to cover our costs. So the amount of stock we had to make was crazy. But we were doing okay.
Yes. Yeah. And you shut Camden, was it pandemic? I seem to remember. Was it?
Yeah. So it just seemed like a good time to like, okay, let's shift our focus to online. We've already created an audience from being at these markets, from having the shop in Camden. Camden was like the best thing we did because it got our brand out there. Everyone started to know who we were. I mean, I would catch a train into Camden and people would like stop me on the subway and go, is that a Vera Black hat? I'm like, I am Vera Black. And they're like, wow, you do exist. We just thought it was like some kind of anomaly. So that's how we kind of were able to get traffic to online, was because people would say, like, when you're opening your shop again? We said, we're not, but we're actually online now. So and online has been like a constant struggle. You know, things are always changing, algorithms are changing. You know, it's still a full-time job. You've got to take photos, you've got to get dressed up each day, and you've got to keep finding ways to get people to your site or to any of your social networking, that sort of thing. So it's still constant work. And I think it'll never be as good as like the Vera Black shop face-to-face thing, like people coming in. I mean, you could just upsell all the time. You know, you literally just, you know, I'll put that on you and put this on you and let me show you how this works. And, you know, next thing they've got everything and they're just like, oh, wow, I've been transformed. Like, I'll take it all.
Yeah.
When you can't really do that online.
No, but I suppose that kind of leads into you know, the other revenue stream that you have, which you can do that, which is in the festival circuit.
Yes, absolutely.
How did that start?
So we wanted to do festivals. Once we'd done, we just wanted to keep selling more. I think the first festival we did when we were here, this was in 2012, 13, and it was Jamie Oliver's big festival. And we just thought, oh, let's get that a go. He's got a big name. They put us in the kids section, and there was just like little kids just wanting like £5 little headband things, and that was just getting put in the wrong spot. But also, I don't think it was really our demographic. But, you know, again, we were just kind of testing the waters on, you know, what is the festival scene like here in the UK? Probably not the best festival for us to start at, a food festival, but we had a lot of fun there. And then we got into Wilderness, which we did 5 years in a row, and absolutely loved that. And again, really killed it. We found it really hard just to get our foot in the door with festivals. For whatever reason, sometimes people they are very loyal to other traders, and they see you as maybe competition, or sometimes they just don't really understand what it is that we're doing. Yeah, I mean, we did Wilderness 5 years in a row. And through the music scene, I had a friend, Vicky Jacobs, who said, like, hey, how about you come and trade at this new festival we've got happening? It's called C2C. It's a country Americana music festival. It's at the O2. So I thought, I'll give that a go. We didn't know how it was going to go. So Luke was still at Camden. I was there on my own, set the whole thing up. not realizing there's like, I don't know, 60,000 people there. And I remember like calling up and it was like, you gotta get your ass down here. Just had like people everywhere. And here I was trying to, I think at that time I only had like it's like a little tiny little gazebo thing. I think I might have had the van there with like the doors open, not the first time, but like each year it's kind of like, how can we do something bigger? How can we do something better? And then, I mean, we just got really lucky. The Americana country music scene just absolutely took off. There was just like one after the other. And so all these people that were starting new country music festivals would go to C2C. They would see us there and they're like, hey, you guys, you know, have been here from the beginning. We've got this new festival coming up. We won't charge you much because we just want to make our festival great. And so we have kind of grown with those festivals and they just keep getting bigger and bigger. So we were kind of like right on the cusp of that. And even though we'd spent time in Nashville and I actually won a songwriting award there in Nashville, we weren't big country music fans. That's kind of all turned around. It could be age as well as as well as just going to all these festivals and like meeting, you know, other artists. So artists would come in into the shop and we would end up they would be wearing the stuff and they'd be wearing it on stage. And so again, it just all happened like so organically. I've never sort of had to go, you know, reach out to people and say, hey, can you wear my stuff? And I really don't think it works that way. And I'm not comfortable doing it either. I'd rather people find us organically and that's how it works. Yeah. So in that sense, we've been really, really lucky. And so now we've just found ourselves like doing like 8 festivals a year. We're doing like Buckle and Boots, Long Road Festival, Black Deer Festival. And we've seen how all these festivals work and don't work and gain so much knowledge. And, you know, each year we just try and get bigger and better and what's something new we can offer to our customers because they've already bought all the stuff previous years. What are we going to do this year that's going to be like, oh my goodness, this is really new? So it is that thing of like constantly keeping them, you know, excited and interested and, oh, I have to get the new thing that's out. But what I did realize quite early on was that we are not like a fashion or like a usual fashion brand. There is like the fashion industry and like we never went down at like those kind of fashion show type things. It's just not our scene. To me, that kind of scene is very inauthentic.
Yeah.
And we don't really follow trends. And being that we manufacture everything ourselves, we could never keep up with trends or like bringing out, okay, this is summer range or the autumn range and this and that. And, you know, you just can't keep up with that. So we're like, okay, let's just stick in our lane. And people will, I think, be really loyal to us, which we've got the best customers. They're so loyal. They're so, they're just beautiful people. And it's kind of in our logo, like peace, love, music, feathers. That I know we took the feather bit out, and I'd eventually like to take feathers out altogether, to be honest. But yeah, and that was always not just with the fashion brand, but that was also very much what our music was about. I mean, if you go back and listen to some of the music, it was always like I was a little girl with a guitar that wanted to make the world better and stop the wars and thinking me and my guitar can change the world. And so I always had that kind of mentality of, you know, good karma and, you know, giving out to people and get back what you put out and sort of thing.
But it always comes, I think it always comes back. I mean, I always love the idea, you know, of you lift others while you climb. And that, you know, the generosity in your brand, like you said, when you go right back to the beginning, when you started it off giving them away. That's what you did. No,
yeah.
I think that's always
I
in
still do that, and Luke still tells me, "Boy,
you're very incredibly generous." But I think, you know, I'd say I've not actually had the chance to see you at a festival. I'm really looking forward to doing that because last year, this year, my festival transportation wasn't working, the bloody van. But now he's working and it's fine. So next year I'm all over it. But this is sort of about the hats and the transformations, right? So I have mine here, all right? And first, they are beautifully made. These are absolutely beautifully made. I'm a fan of hats. I've had a lot of hats. And I will be honest with you, 90% of the hats that you buy are utter shite. They are
Mm,
utter shit. The felt's too thin. They don't hold their shape. You get them dirty and they're fucked. You can't clean them.
hmm.
And they cost a lot of money. So when I
Yeah.
decided I was really going to go for it with a hat, I bought my kind of trademark bowler, but I got it from Lock and Co in London, and it was 450 quid, and that's. But if you want a good hat, that's the sort of money that you're paying for, right? And but this, I love this. It's got that Hendrix vibe about it, but it's not, and it's a gambler. It's awesome. But
Yeah.
when you put it on, it's like beautiful feathers work, right? But there's something that happens when people put these hats on, right? And you look different. You immediately feel different. You just change.
Yeah.
And my kids have called it, "Oh, you're wearing your rock star costume," and I kind of get that, but it also pisses me off a little bit
It's not a costume.
because it's not exactly that, right? It's not a costume. It's a part of your personality. It's a part of your view um, that you're expressing. That
Mm,
gives you joy, makes you feel good. And the
yeah.
more that you wear it, you feel good, you feel good, you feel good. And then eventually you just stop wearing it. 9 times out of 10, when I'm out, I'm wearing this hat and a pair of stripy trousers.
Mm.
And
Love those stripy trousers.
I love those stripy trousers. And I do it partly because it is a bit of a fuck you to everybody because literally who wears stripy trousers? Me. Um,
Convicts.
convicts wear stripy trousers. But also because I feel good in it, right? So what's the kind of the best transformation that you've seen, when you're in the festivals or in the shop or anything like that someone's kind of, put the hat on, put the out and immediately transformed? What's the best one you've had?
There's so many. The amount of times I hear like ladies say like, "Oh, I'm too old for that. Oh, I'm too old for that." Um, and then 20 minutes later, they've spent a lot of money and they're walking out just completely, and they just hold their head higher.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back later and like, I'm going to buy a few other things. Everyone's been complimenting me on my hat and my necklace and all these different things. Um, but one was with an artist called Els Bailey, and I ended up being her stylist.
Hmm.
And I don't think she really had like a particular look. Her music is phenomenal, and she has just taken off like in a massive way. I actually went and saw her last weekend in Bristol, and huge crowd. So she's doing really, really well. But she was, and she actually told this story on stage in front of a few thousand people when we were at Black Deer. She got me up on stage and she said, after I had my baby and I was like postpartum, I felt so insecure about what I looked like, my body. I wasn't even going to have like pictures of me like on any of the posters or on my album cover. I was just going to have these drawings, and I didn't even know how I was going to get up on stage. And she said, like, thanks to Vera, I feel like really confident. I love how I look. And she's just gone in leaps and bounds in her confidence as an artist. I mean, she struts out there just like absolutely killing it. And like, you'd never know that she'd went from someone who was quite insecure about herself to like, then I'm doing photo shoots with her and she's, wearing short things and, just absolutely rocking it and like acting and looking like a
Hmm.
rock star, and like she deserves to be there, because I think she had little bit of that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's just turned into an incredible artist. So that really made me very proud.
That's brilliant. She deserves to be there. That's made her look and feel like she deserved to be there. That's
Absolutely.
so powerful, and it's just awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah. Now I'm tired of looking at the branding, and Vera sat there perfect, and I'm looking at my office and thinking, "Fuck's sake, man! I've got to do some work on this. It's terrible. It's like I'm in my bedroom."
Well, this is
12.
actually my vintage caravan that I designed.
It's awesome. I have got to do some work on my van. I had the idea of doing these in the van, but it's just not ready yet. It will be, but prolific beats perfect. It's my mantra. So you
Yeah,
just take small steps, and eventually you kind of get there.
yeah.
So what now? What next? So what's the future look like for Vera Black brand? You know, where are you going next?
Well, so I think you know a bit about that.
I do, but I'm letting you talk because I'm not entirely sure what I'm allowed to
I'm
say.
not sure exactly what your ideas are.
Yeah. Yeah, we do
Yeah,
have that. I
so
have my
I
part of
mean,
my. I realize 50% of my job is going to be pinning your ideas down.
Luke and I have always wanted to not waste all of our work experience that we've had. Like we have run cafes together, we've worked as musicians, we've seen how live music venues work, what does and doesn't work, learning from other people's mistakes. We've run bars and small hotels and, worked in hospitality, which I think has also translated to, working well as a team, selling our own product. And
Mm.
we always had this dream of having our own music venue um, and pub with a shop, and basically bringing what a music festival has and bringing it into a place that's sort of open 5 days a week.
Mm.
We're like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work, 5 days a week. So we might ease into that maybe. So that was always the plan that we had. But then Lulu from Long Road approached me saying like, hey, we should do our own festival. And I was like, that would be really cool and very interesting. But she said, before we do that, how about we take a little baby step and create something like a bigger Vera Black experience at the Long Road Festival. And so we are going to add on. So we're going to have our little shop, our little 6x4 shop, which will have all the jewelry, the hats, and a very flamboyant, beautiful team. We have the most incredible looking staff. They're all very good looking. And these are all friends of ours. These are all people that, there's Olivia, who's like, she was one of my muses, became the face of our brand. She kept pestering Luke at Camden years ago to like, please, I just need to meet your wife. I just need her to like model. And I just kept like, I was just busy and I just didn't contact her. And she was just like, do you not like me? Sending me a message. I'm like, I have no idea.
No idea who
I'm
you
so
are.
sorry. I'm so sorry. She's like, right, well, I'm doing a shoot with a horse up in Wales and you need to come meet me there. And I was just like, Wales. And at the time I was in London and Luke's like going, like, do you know how far Wales is from London? I was just like, look, we're going, there's a horse involved, we're doing it, okay? She's like, all right. So I made like matching accessories for the horse and for her, and we ended up doing this incredible shoot. Then she became like my best friend. She works in the workshop with me, she works in the shop, and she's just an incredible human being. And our brand probably may not be where it is without her. She's just such a
She's a fabulous model for you.
yeah, and she's a really important person in being the face of our brand and just a part of our team. Like she's just got amazing energy. And anyway, going back to what I was saying, what was it? Oh yes, and so we are going to have like a because we have these beautiful black and gold embroidered Indian made marquees, which makes us really stand out also because there's no one else that's got these lovely marquees like we do. And we recently bought a bigger one because the shop is growing. So the one that we had previously was just like a 4x4. And we're like, how can we use this? Do we put a little speakeasy out the back? So we've decided to turn that one into a little coffee shop to sell coffee because people really want coffee at a festival. And so we're just trying to think like, how can we monetize this idea more, like and how can we have coffee ourselves on tap at festival?
Yeah.
And and then offer a few little breakfast things as well for people. And we being musicians, we've always had musicians come in buying things, and then it's like I have my friend Morgan from Australia who's a musician. She comes over in the summer and works with us. She works with me in the workshop. She actually lives in this caravan over summer. and she will come in and help in the workshop, and then she'll come to the festivals and help us set up and sell. And she has her own little jewelry brand as well, which is quite different from what I'm doing. So she has her little space as well where she can sell her things. And we always end up in these music jams with other musicians that come in. Some of them really big artists, some of them just like artists just like starting out. But it's just really fun to keep that kind of aspect in my life of keeping the music alive in my life, and it's so much fun. So we ended up like getting, you know, crowds around and people watching us, and this is just in our shops. We're like, how can we expand on that? And so I spoke to Lulu about getting another, maybe like a circular marquee that we could have with a bit of a tie on the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, and calling it the Blackbird. So it'll work on the premise like at the Bluebird in Nashville. There's like a small intimate stage in the middle, and everyone sits surrounding the artist. So yeah, we wanted to do something like that. So it could be like we always had artists just like going, I'm looking for another stage to perform on. Like I've done that stage, but like I just want to keep playing. I want to have another audience. So they're there for the whole weekend and they just want to have somewhere else to play. So they might do a full band gig over there, but then they can come and do like a little intimate set in this little spot. We want to have our vintage van set up in there where it could either work as a photo booth or having other artists getting interviewed in there. I think that was something you suggested, which is a really good idea. So it's just utilizing all the things that we've got, and then just expanding on it. So I'm really excited to do it. It's going to be a lot of work. And Lulu did suggest that I also do some interior design of some luxury glamping tents. So it would be people that have a lot more money to spend and want to have that extra luxury experience to be able to have that option. So yeah, that's really exciting too.
Scoop, you heard it here first. The Vera Black experience at Long Road Festival.
With a bar, the handlebar.
At the handlebar, the bar, and Luke's Harley will be there. I'll be bringing mine as well. Don't tell Vera.
You have to have your handlebar moustache.
No. Seriously, no. Just shave that middle bit of my beard. Just how long it's taking me to get this where it is. Can't do that.
It's
but,
beautiful.
So we talked about my dad earlier and how we kind of met, and when he first said to me that he was, working with Vera Black, I had a look at your stuff and I was just kind of like, wow, the connection between the way that you took his art, his pieces and made them fit your brand, and it just went together so beautifully. I mean, this was one. My dad made this for me. You put the beadwork for it, and it is absolutely my favorite piece of jewelry in the world ever. I never anywhere without this. And part of my kind of idea was just like my eyes just lit up because it's just like, this could work. This could be fantastic. So we're like, right, connect me with Vera. We'll talk. We'll get it all sorted. And then obviously, you got pregnant, which is like, I'll forgive you because, Bobby's absolutely amazing kid. Love him to bits. And then my dad went and died inconveniently. So, and that's where we met. We actually met for the first time at his funeral. And, but since then, obviously, we connected, stayed, become really good friends. And I absolutely love what you're doing. And then when you asked me if I wanted to be involved in it, it was kind of like fuck me, yes. Had to actually take a bit of a moment for myself. Just a little bit of a kind of like because it's a route that I've wanted to take my life down for a very, very long time, but I just never knew how, and you showed me the door. So for that, I'm always grateful. I'll be eternally grateful for that. And that all came because of my dad. So it's almost like the last gift.
I love your dad so much. And as you know, when I moved over to London, I literally 2 weeks before lost my dad.
Yeah.
And then I met your dad at Brick Lane, and it's like, God, he reminds, because my dad's Maori, your dad is from Barbados, and they had like a very similar look. And my dad was obsessed with working with his hands. He used to make all sorts of beautiful little things. And I looked at that and I was like, my dad would love this stuff. And he was very much like, this is so precious to me and I would love to wear this. You know, he loved his greenstone and things like that that had meaning. And that's what your dad brought to the collections that we did together. It made something so special that people were just like, this is great. Like, you can feel the love and the energy that's gone into this. Like, and the beautiful stones that we used and everything. It was the first time we'd actually done something that was, this is a one-off. This is a one-off. This is the collection of 12. And we would literally put them up on Instagram. And sometimes we didn't even have to put them up on the website, because people just like, I want that one. I want that one. I want that one. And then there's one guy, I think he was in Denmark or something. He's got about 13 pieces of your dad's work. He just loved it. But yeah, that was the first time we'd really done collections, and they would literally like go in a week. And it was really cool. And I had so much fun doing that. That kind of thing gets me excited, because it's like the creation is in the piece. So like, this is what I have to work with. Like, what's going to elevate this piece, from the colors to the metals that are used to, you know, or it's this weight, so it should be longer, or it's this, so it should be shorter. And I'd very much picture who was going to be wearing it and who would speak towards it, whether it was masculine or whether it was feminine or whether it was both. Like, this is quite a big piece, put really big beads on it. We actually did a collection for Jason Momoa, and that was probably one of my favorite things to do, was to work on that with your dad. I came up with some ideas. he used to get just as frustrated with me as I did with him, because I'd be like, I kind of want it like this and I kind of want it like that with this, and he was like, can you just draw me a picture? So, and I was like always really bad at drawing, so I was like, I want it like this and I want it like that.
I can imagine the creative process between you two being quite interesting, but frustrating as fuck for me to watch it. But it worked. Whatever it did, it worked. I remember when he told me about that, the Jason Momoa thing, because I'm doing something for Aquaman, like the movie Aquaman, the movie. No, the bloke Aquaman. So what? Jason Momoa? He went, yeah, him. Anyway, are you coming down this weekend? And it was literally, he's always like that when it came to who was buying his work. And I was just like, Dad, this could be huge. You need to get a photo with him and all that sort of stuff. And my commercial mind shot off down the road. But he was just...
He actually called me after you had that conversation with him. And he's like, I just spoke to Richard. Apparently this Jason Momoa's a really big star. I was like, yeah, no shit. I tried to tell you that.
Yeah, no shit, mate. Oh, fuck. You know, he's like, oh, well, but, you know, that was him. And it was about, and you talked about, you know, it was the love and the time and the energy and of the creation. That's what made him happy. You know, him stood there next having a photo of Jason Momoa. He'd probably have a pint with him, talk to him about music, and that would be it. You know, he was never that interested in it, which...
Smoke a blunt.
Yeah, have a spliff, drink a pint of Guinness, talk about music, you'd be happy. But I actually, I have some good news, is I found some more of his work.
Really?
Yeah, so I do want to try, when we get together and we talk about Long Road, I'll bring it up and have a look, because I was looking for some bits and pieces, and we found some. There was a lot of stuff that was unfinished, and there was a lot of, what can I say? I would describe as experiments.
Yeah.
With bone. He was going down this path of working with bone. Don't know why. Never going to get a chance to ask him, but looks a bit weird.
It's like something out of a Beetlejuice movie.
I'll bring it. It's kind of. He was sort of inspired by the kind of the cowboy sort of neckties. I don't know what do you call them? The
Bolos.
Bollows, that's the one.
Yeah.
But doing the clasps and the ends out of bone. But I think
Yeah. We get
the
people asking for those all the time.
yeah, they're interesting, but I think the bollow itself is quite big. It looks like it's come from a cow's leg, femur.
Mm.
So, but again, we'll bring it up maybe because there's certain elements of it where you've got these bits of bone and they've been inlaid with silver, and you know it's some quite really interesting stuff in there. But I'm sure between us we can make it work,
Absolutely.
and the posthumous collection will have some life. All right,
Yeah.
Vera, this has been absolutely awesome. Have you got time for the 10 most important questions in the world?
Oh,
It's quick fire.
okay.
Don't get to think. These are random questions. They're not random. I ask everybody who interviewed exactly the same questions, to be fair. So, are you ready?
Yes. Fire away.
Beatles or Elvis?
Beatles.
Really?
Mhm.
I'm really surprised you said.
I love both, but if I could only have certain music that was the only thing I could listen to, it would definitely be Beatles. I need something a bit more psychedelic.
That's an interesting. Wow. Okay. I would have picked Elvis 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
But
Well, for me to sing, be Elvis, but for me to live my
listen
life
to
the way I want to, it'd have to be like Beatles.
Beatles. Fair enough. Superman or Batman?
Batman.
You had no passion about that whatsoever, so clearly not a superhero fan. We'll move on. Night owl or early bird?
Night owl.
Yeah, I am too, but I'm learning to be an early bird.
I used to be an early bird, and then I turned 40.
Someone switched the timer around.
Yeah, so now I'm and it's difficult because Luke's wants to like talk business first thing in the morning. He's like blah 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 blah. I'm just like, I gotta have my coffee. And then at night I'm like giving all these ideas, and he's just like, I'm so tired, I don't want to talk about this now. It's like, when are we ever going to talk about this? We're different. Yeah.
So Amy's a morning, I'm an evening, and I'm trying to. We've got kind of got to meet in the middle, haven't you? Like a lunchtime person.
Yeah.
Mid afternoon. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Any particular reason? Just convenience? Just happens to be there.
Well, I don't use anything Android now.
Been sucked into the ecosystem.
Well, also because I've thought about changing to different things, but I'm not a quick learner anymore. So I've just become this old woman that's just like stuck in her ways.
Technology is.
It's going to take me months to learn how to use this thing.
Bobby's not old enough for you to hand him a phone. Sort that out for me. He'll get there, and then eventually, then you don't have to worry about anything. Just make this work. PlayStation or Xbox?
Oh, Xbox. It's been years since I played one. I actually got really addicted, so I am not allowed to have those anymore because I wouldn't get anything done. But I get incredibly addicted, so I don't think I've played a PlayStation. I definitely wouldn't want to be playing the games that are out there today because I wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah, they're too big, and I'm very much like you, which is why I get my gaming fix from my 2003 PSP. Because it's got a start and an end, and there's to turn it on and then turn it off. It's a great way of passing some time on the train, but I would be sucked in, especially when you've got things that they like massive multiplayer games where you can fly between different galaxies and shit. That's just.
I used to mow everybody's lawn and weed their lawn, so they would pay me so I could go play Double Dragon at the bowling club.
Yeah. No,
and then I would spend like $40 on playing Double Dragon.
Those old games, I love them. Mario Kart. One day I'll bring the Switch up. We can get stoned and play Mario Kart.
That sounds awesome.
It does sound good, doesn't it? I should bring it to one of the festivals and sit and do that afterwards. Everyone's buggered off. Favorite movie?
So many. Across the Universe. Oh my goodness. I mean, I love
Cross the Universe. Tell me about that.
Across the Universe is lot of people don't really know about it, but it's a musical that is done with all the Beatles songs.
Okay.
And they have characters called Jude and Prudence and Lucy, and it's set in like the Vietnam War times.
Hmm.
It's very psychedelic. It's got Bono in it.
That's not selling it to me.
Joe Cocker, Bono, but like he's dressed up as this like psychedelic cowboy type. His character is brilliant, and he does oh my god, what song was it? The Magical Mystery Tour song, and I mean it's so good, so good. You got to watch it.
I'll check it out.
Again, get stoned for that one.
Fair enough. I have just been ordered to get stoned by Vera, so how am I? I can't refuse. Song you rock out to?
Oh my god, you told me I'm not supposed to think, but I really have to think because there's so many.
So, I'll put a context to it. So, you're going out, you're getting ready, and you're like, right, you're going to put your getting dressed song on. What's the song you got on?
Oh my god. If I'm being honest, probably Push It by Salt and Pepper. People hate it when I say that. But,
I didn't see that one.
They're like, I'm so disappointed in you. But that was the first song that I ever like really danced my butt off to when I was like, I don't know, 11 or 12. And it was the first I felt like that freedom of like, dancing like nobody's watching. And like people like formed this little circle around me at this like blue light disco when I was a kid, and I was just like, freedom! Do, 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 do. So I always go back to that place every time I hear that song.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really into Dope Lemon at the moment. It's pretty chill, but it's really party music, and great for just hanging out with friends kind of music. But yeah, I mean, I like so many different kinds of music. Absolutely love like all the oldies, in regards to like Led Zeppelin and oh my goodness, there's just so many. I don't know.
So many.
Oh, I know. Tina Turner in her early days. I love early Tina.
So you talk Proud Mary, Nutbush City Limits.
Yes, all of that. Love it.
Oh. Yeah, and you introduced me to Black Pumas, which was a good one. Thank you for that.
Oh my god, yes, Black Pumas. You cannot beat Black Pumas. No. Yeah, Greta Van Fleet, absolutely love.
Yeah, there's lots. Yeah, I mean, of course, there is going to be. You're in the music business. It's never going to be one thing. There's so many. I think
I listen to myself all the time.
I listen to you.
Do you?
Yeah. You're one of my favorite. Is that there was a cover you did of "Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood."
Yeah,
I really, really like that.
Yeah, I used to love doing that song.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I shall be putting links to all of these tunes in the comments and etc. etc. Sun or snow?
Oh, sun, without a doubt. I suck at skiing and snowboarding, and I would be the one just sort of sitting near the fire having a hot toddy or something, and watching everyone else ski.
I don't understand. I don't understand them. I don't understand how people can enjoy them. It's certainly it's that kind of thing I have with it. I've tried them both, and I spent lots of money on a ski pass to take me to the bar where I stay, and then badly ski or snowboard.
You know those things that you put the bar between your legs and it pulls you up the slope?
Oh yeah, button lifts they're called. Yeah,
I couldn't even do that. I would literally go like, and then I'd fall off, and all these little kids were like laughing at me. I was a grown woman, and little kids were like cussing. She can't even do that.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's done. Yeah, I've been dragged up a slope by my backpack with one of those things. It just access slipped off, and then it got caught on my backpack and just stuck there. Snowboard fell off, and I'm just like basically just being dragged up on my face. I'm like looking up, going, how much fucking further have I got to go? It's like 50 feet. That's just, it was horrendous. And that was it. Yeah. Do you know what? See you guys later. I'm going to get pissed. Basically, that's just that. Um, Go-to book?
Scar Tissue,
Ah, I've not read that.
Anthony Kiedis.
Yeah, Anthony Kiedis's autobiography.
Mm. I've got a list of books that I now do audiobooks actually, because I'm always working with my
Mm.
hands, and I've just got so much time while I'm working that I'm really into audiobooks. And
Yeah, I tend to tune out of audiobooks a bit, so I actually do have to kind of read them. But Scar Tissue's been on my list for a while because I really wanted to explore the early days of Chili Peppers.
yeah,
Um, Before John Frusciante got that when they started off and their original guitarist died.
yeah, there's a lot of parts in it that make you feel like uncomfortable.
Mm.
The going back and to and from going in and out of addiction and things like that. So
Yeah,
you're just like, no, not again.
imagine it's a powerful book. I shall look for a read that one. And
Yeah.
the last question is, what's the best bit of advice you've ever received?
Oh, it would have definitely been from my dad. My dad was the best at giving advice. Trying to think what one thing that he said that was the best bit of advice.
Well, he did tell you not to buy vintage vehicles, which is a pretty good piece of advice.
He said, "Don't buy vintage vehicles; you'll be forever broke." And yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah.
it's a little money pit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was full of good ideas like that. But did I listen to him? No.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah. It's like, we love them though, don't we, Vic? We love
We
them.
do.
Yeah. So, did he have any other nuggets of wisdom that jumped out at you?
I got given lots of bad advice.
You just go for what's the best bit of shit advice you've ever received?
Lie about your age. Lie about who you really are.
Okay, well, fake it till you make it is probably the other.
And I think that was one of the things my dad used to say to me all the time was like, just be yourself.
Uh,
Which it took me a long time. And I know it sounds lame, but it was probably one of the things that it took me a while to actually take that advice on board. And I think it comes with maturity and age as well. Like you've said, when you get to a certain age, you're just like, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks of me. And there was definitely a moment where I just like, you know what? I don't give a fuck whether you think I look weird or you don't like the way I dress or you don't like my accent or you're not into my music. I really don't care. I'm doing everything for myself and for people around me that love and care about me.
and that comes just purely with confidence. I think I hear a lot of people who are younger say this, I don't even shit what anybody thinks about me. And I've said the same thing when I was younger, but you really do. I think it's difficult to be young and not care what people think about you. But when you've
Definitely.
got a few laps under your belt, but as we have,
Mm,
over, past 50. And it was the realization at 50, essentially, which was if I'm not going to if I'm not ever going to care or I'm going to stop giving a shit about what people think of me, then
mm,
kind of now's probably enough time. I'm 50. Who gives a fuck?
yeah.
And now it's freeing.
Yes.
It is.
And I do think it comes with confidence and being confident in who you are and confident in your decisions.
Mm.
There was so many times, particularly in the music industry, where I was told, no, this is how you're supposed to sound, this is what you're supposed to do. And I was just like, hang on, what about all of my knowledge? What about all my ideas? And I didn't really have the confidence. I actually thought I didn't really know what I was talking about
Mm.
because people around me thought I didn't know what I was talking about. And so sometimes it's just having even when I went and did a branding course for the Vera Black brand, I went and did a branding course, and I paid a ridiculous sum of money to do it. And it was literally like someone giving me the confidence to go, yeah, you're on the right track. You know what you're doing. Everything's right. And I was just like, oh, phew. I thought I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I'm glad I paid you all that money just to tell me that
Mm.
I'm doing all the right stuff.
Yeah.
So if anything good came out of it, it was just having that confidence that like, okay, yeah, I'm doing the right things. And yeah, you just got to have
Yeah.
confidence in yourself.
For me, branding's all about consistency. Um,
Yes.
it's all about consistency, and you have a natural understanding of it, understanding what your purpose is. You know, I think
Mm.
businesses at a very base level for me, businesses are about service. You are there to
Mhm.
serve, and you're there to to make something better, quicker, faster, or take someone on a journey. And
You're
it's a
doing Daft
journey.
Punk lyrics there.
Sorry,
You're doing Daft Punk lyrics there.
am I?
Quicker, faster.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I might edit that one in there actually, but yeah, but it's like taking people on a journey from helping them understand who they want to be, and then taking them on the journey from the point where they're at to being that person. And that's
Yeah.
what business ultimately. That's what I think. These sort of service businesses are about, lifestyle businesses, consultancies,
Mm.
whatever. And that's what you do for your people.
Yeah.
Take them on a beautiful journey.
Yeah. And it gives me so much gratification. Like I absolutely love what I do. And on days where I'm just like, oh, I just don't want to do this. When I've got to like make 30 of the same thing, I just like remind myself that I get to do this.
Yeah.
I am my own boss.
Mm.
And I work from home, and I live in the countryside now. And these are all things that, like, back when I started the business, were like look so far away. So it's just, yeah, definitely just like persistence and putting the hard work in to finally look back and go, actually, we've done a lot and done a really
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only the beginning.
It's okay to give yourself a little pat on the back every now and then.
It's been awesome. I've really enjoyed this actually.
Yeah, me too.
You enjoy it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it again from a festival. We do it from Long Road. Not as long. We'll just do a quick kind of update from Long Road.
Yeah, we can do it in the van or on the stage.
Yeah. Interview on stage.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cracking idea.
Yeah. Like an early morning when people sitting there having their coffee and before the music starts.
Breakfast with Vera.
Oh, love it.
There we go. Done. On the list.
Marketing again.
Marketing again. I know. Never stop. Right. We'll let you go. Awesome. Thank you very much for this. I think it's going to be brilliant. People are going to love it.
Yeah. Thanks, Richard.
All right.
You did a great job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm finding my feet with this. So, Vera, thank you very much. And we'll catch up again soon.
All right. Speak to you very soon. Can't wait for the next stage. Bye.